People always ask when it started. They think it began in the forest. They're wrong. It started months earlier. It started with drawings. At school, I noticed them sketching the same figure over and over again. Tall, too thin, faceless. At first it looked childish. Just a character, a game. They said his name casually like everyone already knew it. Slender Man. They talked about him the way other kids talked about celebrities, where he lived, what he liked, what made him angry. I laughed it off. I thought it was just another internet story, but they didn't laugh back. They began changing. They stopped talking about normal things, stopped caring about school, stopped caring about people. Instead, they talked about rules, about offerings, about tests. They said Slender Man chose people, that he watched from the edges of places no one looked twice at. Sometimes they'd stare at nothing behind me. When I asked why, they'd say, "He's curious about you." I should have walked away then. The night they invited me over felt ordinary on the surface. My parents were out. I was bored. They sounded excited, too excited. Their messages were short, repetitive, almost rehearsed. "Come over. We need you. Tonight matters." Something in my chest tightened. I ignored it. The moment I stepped inside their house, I felt like I had crossed a line I wouldn't be able to uncross. The door closed behind me with a soft click that sounded much louder than it should have. The air inside was stale, heavy, like the house hadn't been opened in days. The lights were on, but dimmed so low they barely pushed back the shadows clinging to the corners of the room. No television, no music, no background noise at all. They stood near the couch, facing me, smiling in the exact same way. Not nervous smiles, not excited smiles, controlled ones. I asked if everything was okay. One of them nodded slowly. The other said, "It will be." I laughed awkwardly and dropped my jacket on a chair. The sound of the fabric hitting the wood echoed through the room. I hadn't realized how quiet it was until that moment. They whispered to each other while I sat down, not trying to hide it, almost like they wanted me to hear, but not understand. I caught fragments. "Not yet. He's patient. She needs to be calm." I asked who they were talking about. They both looked at me at the same time. One of them tilted her head slightly and said, "You already know." I didn't, or at least I didn't want to. The suggestion came slowly, carefully, like they were testing how much pressure they could apply without breaking me. "Let's go outside," one of them said. "Just for a walk," the other added. I said it was late. I said my parents would be home soon. I said I didn't feel like it. They didn't argue. That scared me more than if they had. They exchanged a glance. A silent agreement passed between them. Then one of them said very calmly, "He doesn't like closed spaces." I asked who he was. She smiled, but her eyes didn't move. "He's more comfortable in the woods." My stomach tightened. I stood up and grabbed my jacket. "I think I should go home." That's when the other girl spoke, her voice low and steady. "If you leave now, he'll follow you." I froze. She continued, "If you come with us, he'll stay where he belongs." I didn't believe her, but I followed them anyway. The forest entrance was barely visible, a thin break between the trees behind the park. I had passed it 100 times before without noticing it. Now it felt like a mouth. The moment we stepped under the trees, the world changed. The sounds of the neighborhood vanished instantly, as if someone had closed a door behind us. Even our footsteps sounded wrong, too soft, too distant. They walked ahead of me, fingers intertwined, their shoulders brushing as they whispered. I asked what this was really about. One of them answered without turning around. It's about balance, the other added, and proving loyalty. I asked loyalty to what? They stopped walking. Slowly they turned to face me. To him. The fog was thicker here, curling around their legs, swallowing the ground. My heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my throat. I told them we had gone far enough. They said we hadn't even started. The deeper we went, the darker it became. The trees were taller than they should have been, their branches tangled together like ribs. The moonlight barely reached the ground, breaking into thin, useless strands. I started to feel watched, not the normal feeling, not imagination. It felt deliberate. I asked if they felt it too. One of them nodded. He's close. The other smiled. He's curious. They began talking about things I had never told them. My fear of being alone. The recurring dream I had as a child where something stood outside my bedroom door. The feeling that I was being observed even when I knew I wasn't. I demanded to know how they knew. One of them said softly, "He listens." The forest went silent. No insects, no wind, no movement. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. Between the trees, far ahead, something stood where there shouldn't have been anything at all. It was too tall, too straight. It didn't move, but it didn't need to. I felt its attention settle on me like weight. I whispered, "Do you see that?" They didn't answer. They were already stepping toward it. One of the girls slowly lifted her hand, trembling, not with fear but excitement. She reached forward, and for a brief, impossible moment, I saw her fingers curl around something. Her hand didn't close on air. She was holding him. That's when I understood. This wasn't a game. This wasn't imagination. They believed in him so completely that belief itself had bent reality. They turned toward me. Their faces were pale, eyes shining. "This is how we show devotion," one of them said. "This is how we make sure he protects us," the other added. I stepped back. They stepped forward. The forest seemed to lean inward. They grabbed me. I fell hard. The breath knocked from my lungs. Leaves filled my mouth. Dirt scraped my hands raw as I tried to crawl away. They held me down, whispering urgently, "He needs a witness. He needs proof. He needs you." I screamed until my throat burned. Above us, something shifted. Not footsteps, something else. Pressure. My vision blurred, edges darkening. The last thing I felt was a presence looming close enough that I couldn't breathe. There was no pain, just absence, like falling asleep without dreaming. When I opened my eyes, the forest was empty. They were gone. The fog was thinner now, drifting lazily between the trees as if nothing had happened. My body barely responded when I tried to move. I lay there for a long time, staring up at the branches above me, wondering if I was still alive. I crawled. Every movement felt wrong, delayed, like my body didn't belong to me anymore. I followed light, sound, instinct. I don't remember collapsing. I remember waking up in a hospital bed. They said I survived. They call it trauma. They call it shared delusion. But sometimes when I'm alone at night, I feel it again. That quiet pressure, that attention, and I know the truth. Some things don't need belief to exist. They only need to be noticed.